Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I don't think anybody would answer this question with a no. Do you want to be healthy? Who would ever say no? They do know there is challenges to get there and some work that's involved. But what about if you're doing the work? How do you know you've achieved a healthy state within your body? We're going to talk about that and a lot more today. She is the founder of Healthy Mindful Self. She is somebody that helps people find their health and through meditation and other modalities. And she's also an expert when it comes to medication, big pharmaceutical background. She's back with us. Dr. Lisa Nezneski is on the program. Hi, Lisa. How you doing?
I'm well, Steve. How are you?
Doing good. Doing very well.
Good.
Yeah, like a lot of us on that journey, trying to find a healthy way of life. And, we sometimes we pivot here, we pivot there. How do you really know you've nailed it? Like, yeah, I'm healthy. Is it a state of mind? How do you know you're there?
Well, I think, Steve, it brings in some of the mindfulness considerations because how do you know you're healthy in this moment? How do
Okay.
you feel right now? And you can have a day where things are sort of going sideways at the beginning, and then you get to work and things all fall into place. And then you get in traffic going home, and and things aren't so good. So, but in the moment, feeling into your body and noticing not only how you feel physically, but how you feel emotionally.
Is it? And it's funny you should say that. But are you a mind reader? Because today I leave to drop my daughter off from school, literally 1 mile away, side roads, and they're doing road work, like substantial road work right near the school. So it's impacting everybody. And I'm thinking to myself, there's only, 6 weeks left of school. You couldn't wait. But anyway, didn't let it throw me. Just took me what takes 10 minutes, like a half hour to drop and then come back home again. And then I had to leave for work. So I had to, circumvent all of that. Um, but is it the way you react to it? Because maybe, you know, years ago, I might have like just been angry and just, that kind of a thing. Is it that state of mind where you can handle certain things? Same thing on the health side.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's an extremely hot day. And back in the day, you'd be like, oh, I can't even, how am I going to even walk outside to my car? And now it's like, yeah, all right, whatever. I'm all hypothetical here, but is it that?
With experience and age comes wisdom. So yes, how you react to things is you on that journey to becoming more wise.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that, mentally, emotionally, that can be part of it, right? But the health
Exactly.
part, if we factor out the mental part of it, the physical part, is it also a state of mind when you say to yourself, and I'm totally on your page at this moment, how do you feel? Is it really your state of mind at that moment telling you whether you feel healthy or not?
Well, it is, but it's also what you do you believe about yourself being healthy. If you
Hmm.
think, oh, this autoimmune thing, I'm going to have it for the rest of my life, and I'll never be able to eat a birthday cake again. And it's like, okay, you're not really depriving yourself of anything if you get sick when you eat it. If you're getting sick by eating that and feeling worse, it's counterintuitive to being healthy. So
Okay.
you can get into this poor woe is me belief, or you can say, you know what, it doesn't matter. Those things I don't see them anymore. I was out, we were looking at RVs this week. It might have been Saturday afternoon. And there was a big plate of cookies in the RV place. And I didn't even notice them. My friends like, hey, let's have a cookie. I'm like, yeah, not for me. And just moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So what you believe you can achieve. So if you believe that you cannot be healthy, you're right. But if
Mm.
you believe that no matter what, and this was one of the vows that I took to myself, that I was going to be as healthy as possible, pursuing any modality that had the potential to help me to heal. So, and
Hmm.
here it is, May 1st, at the end of the week. I will be 5 months, 6 months out of my surgery, and I'm feeling fantastic.
I'm
Almost out of
feeling, I'm feeling,
in here.
I feel you're fantastic. I do.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good right now. And I had a seminar on Saturday, and I started it by I love my life. I do.
Hmm.
Everything feels like that I've led up to this point. I'm starting to reap the benefit of all the work. And getting healthy is work. Make no mistake, getting healthy is work. But
Do you
I'm feeling
find it's, do you find it's kind of amazing that 1 minute, and it reminds me of the song Billy Joel, I Go to Extremes. I don't know if you remember that song. I think it was 1986, where 1 minute it's this, 1 minute he feels this way, 1 minute it's that way. Like 1 minute you could look at your life and say, oh, look at that. I got that coming up. I got to deal with that. I got to deal. And then the next minute you could look at just a couple of positive things. And it could be like, huh, this is all right. Things are pretty good. Yeah. You can pivot like this if you allow yourself to.
exactly. Exactly. All the crappy things that I went through, divorcing, losing houses, moving, and all of that stuff. I'm actually very grateful for all of that, because it really screwed my head back on in the right direction, as my
Hmm.
dad would say. Your head needs screwed back on. Yeah, I really feel that it was of a benefit. And I was describing how, when I was served papers by my ex, that he was suing me, and the first reaction I had when I got those, this is going to be for the highest good of everyone involved. No matter what the outcome, I thought, there's a higher purpose in this, whatever it was that precipitated that. And it did turn out, uh, luckily, in my favor. But it was one of those things that'll completely, out of the blue, upend you. And how you react when something out of the blue upends you is how you do everything.
I 1 billion% agree and went through what you're describing. And if I look back to then, it was like somebody took the proverbial carpet and went, "Whew," and what is going on here? No, no hint,
Yeah,
no surprise, nothing. Um, the
right,
the other person
right.
involved changed path and just went in a totally different direction. God bless, good luck with all of that. Now, if it were to happen, I'd be like, all right,
Exactly.
we move forward.
Exactly. And what you're talking about is we have core beliefs about ourselves. And when all of this went down, I blew up all those core beliefs simultaneously, about who I was in a relationship, about a marriage, about where I was living. All of those things blew up simultaneously. And it took me the hindsight of probably about 5, 6 months before I realized, oh my gosh, I blew up all these core beliefs simultaneously. And it took me a while. Once I realized that, oh, okay, let's have some new core beliefs about who is Lisa, and who is Lisa, and
Yep,
how she presents to the world.
yep, same thing here. And I refused to be the victim when that all went down. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna start dating and I'm gonna meet new people, just people in my world. And
Right.
looking back, they're all there. And these I trust them more than a lot of other people, and they just showed up. And it's just because I did what you're saying. I opened up. I just opened up.
It took a long time for me to open up. I'll be honest. Yeah, it took almost 2.5 years before I could actually do that. So, but I was working on myself fairly steadily during that period of time
Hmm.
until I was ready. And one of the things that I mentioned on Saturday with the group was that when you may not be ready to work with me, and my program is intense, but you'll know when you're ready. You've got to do some
Yep.
work on your own, and it could be that line in the sand, like you can't unsee this, you know, I cannot continue to do this. I have a friend in Vancouver who said to me, she went to see Elizabeth Gilbert, right? You know who that is?
Hmm.
Eat, Pray, Love, right? So she went to see her and she said, why do we as women wait till we almost die before we can say, this is not working for me? Now, it may be, she's coming from a female perspective. It happens to everyone who just sort of goes along with life. All of a sudden we realize this is not right. This is, if you're a fixer or a codependent or an enabler, you just go on. You just keep driving on, and and at some point it doesn't work anymore. So for
Yep.
me, the heart rate all the way down into the 20s, where I'm like, oh my gosh, something has got to change in my life, and I questioned everything, and so that journey took a while.
I get it.
It wasn't instantaneous, but I'm very focused on that journey. I work very hard with setting my intentions every morning. We've talked about that. I have a sleep regimen that I use every night. And, a lot of people my age don't sleep well. And I say women of a certain age. um, but once you hit 60, they seem to think that you're not a vital person anymore. And I don't know where that belief came from,
I don't
but
know. I don't know. I
forget that.
see.
So
Squash all of that. I believe 60
exactly,
is the new 40, and then
totally,
keep
totally.
going. 50 is
Yeah,
the new
yeah,
30.
exactly. But back to sleep, there are very basic things that you need to do to be healthy. Sleep is one of them, and having a regimen where you know what supplements work for you, what meditations work for you, what kind of environment you want in your bedroom. I bought some bamboo sheets. Highly recommend bamboo sheets because I'm a hot sleeper. And let me tell you, they are like silk, but not as hot as silk and no friction.
Huh.
Um,
Never, never,
yeah,
ever, ever heard of that. And
yeah,
it's funny, what does your mind conjure up? You hold a piece of bamboo, it's not the smoothest thing. But interesting. All right, I'm gonna look into that.
yeah. I want to say over the last 10 years as a sustainable fabric to rival cotton as a natural fabric. I do a lot of knitting, as well. So I've knit things with bamboo, and it's a very soft fabric.
Hmm.
And it does have the ability to cool the body as well. But anyway, so having a dark room, comfortable mattress, all of the things, like many nights I'm taking an Epsom salt bath just to relax my body, and then I'm rolling myself into bed. So having a regimen for sleep, having an exercise regimen, and it doesn't need to be going to the gym. This was a long time ago, back I want to say in the 90s. Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh did a research project and had people exercise for 30 minutes a day, cardiovascular. And then they had another control group that didn't do anything, and a third group that put on their gym shoes and they walked for 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back, 3 times a day. So a total of 30 minutes. Each group was doing 30 minutes, but it was in smaller chunks, and the benefits were equal.
I've heard a similar study done even in the last, say, 3, 4 years, that just walking is very beneficial. You don't have to do this whole big cardio thing. It's just moving, but
Yeah.
doing it so you're continuous, mindful of it every day, 6 o'clock, whatever it is. I'm doing a half hour, it's slow and steady wins the race. I want to ask you, in terms of mindset, kind of a personal question.
Okay.
um Based on your situation, what you went through, and we both, it sounds like we both kind of went through the same thing. There was a surprise, and that kind of up up everything where there's changes here. Do you feel now that nothing's guaranteed?
Hmm. Do I? Absolutely. I'm
Yeah.
in a brand new relationship. And I get a lot of dreams about things that I listen to my dreams. And one of the messages early on in that dream state was you never know how long you have with someone.
Yeah. And I agree with you. And
Right.
it's unfortunate that, using us as examples, we went from this to this, and it's all good. And like you said, for the greater good, there was a higher reason for that. But I used to have, my values were, two kids, the white fence, the dog, and all of that, perfect everything. And then so my mantra is now nothing's guaranteed and nothing surprises me. I don't think that's a bad thing, because then you can, if something does surprise you, like, I pulled out and there's tons of traffic or road work, go around the other way. It makes life
Yeah,
easier, I guess.
I think so as well. You say nothing's guaranteed, but a corollary to that is everything changes.
Yes. Yes.
So if you're in this, house, picket fence, dog in the front yard, all of that, idyllic American dream kind of situation, and things change and you didn't expect it. That's the expectation, was that that was going to continue forever. You didn't really think about it ever ending. And a very wise therapist, right at the very beginning of my health journey, said to me, everything changes. What stays the same?
I'm trying to
Nothing.
think of something. I don't think.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe the Washington Monument made out of granite, but still they have to clean
No,
it.
no, 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 no. I guarantee it's changing every day in
Sure.
minute amounts, as the rain
Yes.
falls on it. I'll bet,
Yes.
where, the nose was this big is now this big. If you were to really measure it, there's little nuances, little changes going on there. Um,
Right. I mean, look at the pyramids in Egypt. I mean, they at one point looked like the Washington monuments with a smooth surface,
there you go.
but now they're not. But yeah, exactly. Everything changes.
Did prior to this going on, did you look at your life sometimes in retrospect and say, well, this is okay, this is good. Is this all there is? Am I really happy? Did you have those thoughts?
You know what flashed into my head when I was 6 years old? I had on a hand-me-down dress from my aunt. She was 8 years older than me, and we were sort of the same age, same generation. And I'm in my backyard, and I started to review my life, thinking, what would I have done differently? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm six. What could I have done differently? And that activity has gone on my whole life. I don't know where that came from, but yes, I have regularly at different points in my life looked at what I've been doing and made adjustments.
Hmm.
And as I was in pharmacy school, I could have gotten a bachelor's degree and went on and practiced pharmacy in hospital, or at the time it was either hospital or retail. So a lot more choices now. But I'm like, I think I want to do this clinical thing. I want to actually do this I want to be at the bedside. I want to be evaluating medications. And I went on, at the time, there were a handful of PharmD schools, doctor of pharmacy schools. And I interviewed and was accepted in two or three of them. And I felt most comfortable in Cincinnati because it's a lot like Pittsburgh. So that's where I went
Hmm.
to school. But at the time, um, I like, what else can I do with this degree? I felt incomplete even after 5 years, and went on. So that's an example, answering your question, a little more contemporary, even though that was 40 some years ago. Uh, but yeah, I've done that at different points in my life. I worked for Duquesne University for 10 years, and realized that I was having a lot more efficacy in the hospitals that I was contracting with. So I left a tenured faculty position and went out on my own to practice in small hospitals in and around Pittsburgh. And I did that for 10 years. And then I
Hmm.
opened my store and did that for about 5 years. And I had an abrupt life circumstance change where I was the only working person. We had an illness in the family and I had to step in and do it all. And I'm like, you know what? I can go into a hospital, I can get benefits, I can work a regular shift. I don't have to worry about payroll. I don't have to worry about. So I closed my store at that point and moved into. Uh, I was a night pharmacist for a while, which is an interesting thing, running a hospital with 5 ICUs as the only pharmacist. So that was an intense, stressful situation in and of itself. It's like go all in, Lee. So
Do you ever look back? Do you ever look back at all those situations when you were confronted with them and say to yourself, how the blank am I ever going to pull that off? How am I going to do all of that? I don't think I have it within me. And now looking back, do you say, yeah, I nailed that. I took care of that. That's all right. I probably could have done even more. Like you realize what you're capable of.
let's go back to January when I had to leave this house and everything in this house was in boxes. And I had the SPE stuff piled everywhere. Like I would come back to the house intermittently for something, and it's like, oh, that doing there? Everything was out of place. And I continued on working at McKesson. I continued on. Had our podcast. I continued on with things.
Yeah.
And just about a week ago when I was back in here and things are now sort of back in place. I still don't have everything hung up on the walls, but that will come. But I'm like, how did I do this? How did I actually continue to work,
Yeah. Right.
function, and everything around me was a tornado. And I said this to this friend in Vancouver. It's like I can function inside a tornado. I can function inside of like, should I be able to? Absolutely not. But it didn't actually phase me while I was doing it. Like it was sort of one of those things. Luckily I
Hmm.
had a nice place to stay while I was going through all of this, and the animals had a nice place to stay, a cat and a dog. I mean, it's really a generous person that will take in, away with two animals, a cat and a
But
dog.
they were there. But
Yes,
they
they
were
were there.
there. It all
Yes.
came because of your mindset. I have to believe all the pieces just kind of work themselves out. Where
Mhm.
confronted with this, say, 15 years ago, pick any time, you might not have approached it in the same way.
I definitely would not have. I would have stressed
Same,
over every single detail,
same,
every bit
same.
of it. A little too controlling, and letting go of some of that decision. Like I don't have to make a decision about everything, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I look back, it was last year. Yeah. Right about this time, I finished up radiation treatment for skin cancer. Wasn't anything major, but it was every day going, and it was not comfortable after 3 weeks into it. But then I look back and I'm like, I was in a relationship with somebody um, who happened to be a nurse. And I was like, wow, what are the chances of this person showing up and then helping me through that? I'm not connected with them so much anymore, which is kind of, people are in your life for a reason or a season. And I helped her with some things as well. But it was there that helped me move forward along with a lot of other stuff. So I think what I'm getting at here is, and correct me if I'm wrong or, tell me otherwise, with the right mindset, you got it. All the pieces can fall into place and it all kind of works out if you approach it from the right mindset.
That's exactly right. And it's it is a positive mindset, but when negative things do happen, if you take the time to feel those feelings and
Hmm.
just really kind of like, yeah, this is kind of lousy, this stinks. I had a lamp shipped from California, and it was the wrong lamp. And for an hour or two, I let myself feel really bad about it until they phoned and said, "Oh, no problem. We're going to just send you a new lamp."
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but it was really a sad moment. I'd say, oh, it's just
Well, it's you had expectations and there was some excitement involved. The box comes like, I just redid my house. This is a pinnacle part. I'm going to put this lamp there. Oh, wait a minute. It's not the one I ordered, but it all worked
Right.
itself out. It all worked out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Eh,
So a positive attitude, but allowing yourself to know that negative things will happen and allow yourself to feel into those and let them run their course because they will, because everything changes. And then, reframe your attitude about it.
Powerful what you said, Lisa, in allowing yourself to work yourself through it instead of just putting it aside. Am I going to think about that? No, you need to process it because all that stuff's going to build up eventually. So
Exactly.
deal with it, move it off the plate, on to the next thing, and it's all good. And this is just part of what you do. And I appreciate your honesty and transparency about your situation because it speaks volumes how you help other people. You've been there. You've dealt with major things in your life. And sometimes you can't, I'm not going to say sometimes you can't do it alone. There's got to be some support.
Yes. And that is one of the big lessons that I've learned in the last year, particularly the last year. Since I had surgery, I had friends that were there for me. My son was there for me. And then now as things sort of were moving on from that, having the right people in my life is amazing.
I'm glad you're in my life. I've learned so much from you even so far. Seriously. And that's what you do in terms of healthy, mindful self. Your website is your name. Tell everybody the spelling of that.
Sure. It's www.lisa, Lisa, Nezneski, Nezneski.com.
Always great talking with you. There's always, and I have, full disclosure, before we jumped in here, I thought to myself, how are we going to talk about just healthy state of mind? Are we going to run is that going to run short? We're going to have something else no, we could keep going because it's so important. It is the baseline for everything.
It is indeed. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. And we'll catch up next week.
All right. Take care, Steve.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.